Hi, this is Aisha Tyler. I just spoke with Kara on Really Famous podcast, and I have to say it was one of the richest and most fun conversations I've ever had. She also gave me an A in mental health, so yay me! I can go home and just write it in my diary. I got it. Good job, Aisha Tyler. You're the apple polisher of the day on the Really Famous podcast. But maybe it was the margarita. Nobody does anything great by not believing they can do something great.
Yes.
Right? Like no one aims for, kind of mediocrity and ends up, excelling. You have to know in your heart or believe it, maybe you don't know it, but believe it, I can do something extraordinary, or you will not set out to do it. You'll be like, that's too hard. It's impossible.
And there are two sides of that as well, because that is totally true. Like if you believe it, you can do it.
You have to.
No question.
Yeah, I know we sound like 8th grade volleyball coaches, but it's true.
It's
like if you believe it, you can achieve it.
True.
But then you have to do the work too, right? It's not like you just manifest it by thinking about it over your matcha in the morning.
Right. But by the way, as a therapist, I can tell you that manifestation is a scientific thing.
I've seen some stuff about
but
that.
It's not what people think it is.
It's just like saying it to yourself over and over again kind of realigns the way you think about yourself and your work and makes you less timid and more driven.
Yes, and see more opportunities. So it's believing in yourself. So if you believe that something good is going to happen and you really believe it, your subconscious will start to believe it and it will steer you in that direction. So you will notice things, opportunities you didn't see before, and you will start to believe, oh, this I can do. And so that's how manifesting actually works.
And then you step forward. Okay, I see the opportunity,
but it's all about
and
you
I
doing
present
it.
myself for the opportunity.
Yeah, the universe doesn't give it to you.
Yeah.
You're giving it to yourself. That's the trick that
that's
people
amazing.
don't realize.
That's exciting.
So you don't put it out in the universe, you're putting it internally into your subconscious.
Right.
And that's what makes it happen.
So do you also think that going from, oh my God, I can't believe this, or how did this happen, or this is amazing, which I think is also great because I do a lot of, I'm just like
Gratitude.
one long Hallmark card.
It's so powerful.
I do a lot of gratitude work. I often have to hide that I've burst into tears in a public place. But it's good. I mean, it's been very good for me. And I think has changed my mindset about life and the world because it can be pretty, if you look around, with a critical eye, it can get pretty depressing. So I do a lot of gratitude work. But the shift from, oh my God, this is incredible, to, oh my God, look what I've done, or look what I'm capable of, then again changes your field of vision and widens it even more. Okay, well, if I've done this, I can do this, and I can build this into something even bigger than what I anticipated or what I planned for.
Yes. And the interesting thing about that is I don't feel like I started out believing that I could do this.
Right.
That's the tricky part of it. Like, how did that happen then?
Yeah.
So, but it happened because internally I must have in some sense believed it or just wanted it.
I talk a lot about this because I'm not at all where I thought I would be doing now, and have achieved much more than I set out or planned or thought for myself. And that's not like a humble brag. It's just I'm in a totally different place than I had believed that I would be at this age. And I always talk about, to me, it's like this asymmetric growth of experience and expectations. So you try something, with just the main framework of I don't want to die without having tried this thing that I've been pining for, right? Like I have that was always, I had like a deathbed test for everything. Well, on my deathbed, I regret not trying this. So I just, even if it doesn't go my way, I'm going to try it. If it fails, at least I won't be pining for this thing. I did it. It didn't work. You try it. It's exciting or it's energizing. It awakens something in you. You go, oh, wait, well, okay, but what if I try this? And so that, even though these things weren't planned for, they weren't on your bucket list or your 5-year plan or whatever, you test yourself, you gain new skills, and that opens up new expectations and opportunities. And you perceive new opportunities that you didn't perceive before because you see that, well, now that I've got this skill set or this fearlessness or this exposure to something new, it's now there's a door beyond this room that I didn't see before. So then, it's not on that linear, step A, step B, partner by 30.
Yes.
But, you try this other thing and you're like, oh my God, I didn't know I was going to love this as much. And because I love it as much, be as good at it. And so then now maybe I should try this other thing as well. So then you wake up one day and you've got this massive show that you didn't plan for yourself. So maybe you didn't believe this, but you believe in your ability. And also, I think personally, in your ability to learn, because I feel like that's my fundamental, my core sense of self is just I know that I can learn new things. And I think most people either think they can't learn anything new or are afraid to do it or just think it's going to be too hard. Because sometimes it's just really hard and really frustrating. And people get to a place in their life where they're like, I'm good at what I'm good at. And now it's time to cruise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's also, so I'm all about learning too. And yes, and I want to. If I'm not learning, I'm bored to tears.
I'm dead. Like that's the end of the road for me.
The end of the road and like so depressing. Right?
But imagine getting to a point where you're like, that's it.
No.
I've done everything I'm going to do. I've learned everything I'm going to learn. I'm just going to kick back on the couch.
See, I think that you and I have that naturally.
Probably.
Because you probably were always like this. Am I right?
I was always a really bookish kid, but I was also an outsider. So like learning and reading was like my outlet because I wasn't really social. My mom would drop me at the library on Saturday, like when it opened. And then I would stay there until the movie theater opened. And then I would go around the corner of the movie theater. And then I would stay there until like dinner time. So it was just like me entertaining myself, me, lack of better phrasing, playing with myself. But like, you know, in that kind of deep dive of like, well, what can I do today? What can I learn today? Because it wasn't homework. I was looking at like pathology books. I was looking at like homunculine tumors and stuff like that. You know, whatever an 8-year-old wants to look at in a library when they're on their own. You know,
there's plenty.
There's a lot of cool stuff in the library, kids. Like there's a lot of awesome shit. And then go to the movie theater and like, you know, just look at all the movies. Just that wide open, and now everything's so curated for kids, you know, that's soccer here and blah, blah, blah. But I just got like free play. And because I did, you know, this is before play dates. This is before structured parenting. You know, you were just like, please, kid, leave me alone. And don't set anything on fire.
70s.
Yeah,
hello,
you know,
good.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We're the last generation to have grown up.
Oh my
like
God,
that.
key, like, it's so funny now that latchkey kid is like a negative term, but I was like, that
Good
was
thing.
just,
but that's part of what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you were just self-determining. You're like, I'm going to figure out what I like. I'm going to figure out what I'm capable of. I've got to fill my time. You know what I mean? No one is doing this for me. I have to fill the day. And my parents didn't believe in television. So I just had to read. I read and I played with like sticks and dirt and climbed trees and all that stuff, you know. And
but wait, they didn't believe in television, but they were okay with you going to the movies?
Movies were okay. Yeah. TV felt like
boob tube.
Like the video idiot box. Yeah. But films felt more,
right.
You know, kind of had bigger scope and were more, you know, impactful. And I think they really loved my mom. They were both artists, so they really loved like film. They saw it as an art form. But it was also like the whole thing about it being a latchkey kid was it wasn't just that you had to like take care of yourself. Like you were required to figure out how to accomplish your required goals. Like you had responsibilities. Like I'm not going to come. The house better be clean and your homework better be done. And I'm not going to check in on you. I'm going to come back and it's going to be done. And there was no kind of like, I didn't do it. You know, So, you know, you just develop discipline at a really early age, like self-discipline.
Right. So you think it was nurture mostly from being raised that way?
I think it was, my parents are both quite intellectual and my mom is like, you know, we're both big thinkers. And I think that was just expected of you. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think there was an alternative really.
So your parents were what did your parents do?
So my mom had an MFA and, you know, I think they both wanted to be artists. She's a painter. You know, they had kids, so no. And my dad was a photographer. My dad is like super, I'm making up a word, everybody. I was going to say he's no, I'm making it up, but I'm not going to get to the end of it. Synethesist? That's not a word. He's really good at synthesizing. Like he's a person who can draw synthesizer. I want to synthesist.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but that's how it would sound.
That's how I wanted to sound.
That's very good from the library upbringing that you had. You would think of that.
Yes,
I love that. By the way, just for the record, like I'm a big library person too, and I raised my kids at the library basically.
That's so great.
And they would all come out of the library with a stack of books this tall and read them all and come back, and the librarians loved us, of course, because there's so much there.
Oh God, I always had like some random book that like I forgot to return, and my dad's like, I paid $27 in fines, and I was like, I have no idea what that book is. I remember returning some books in adulthood that I had like since I was a kid. But
okay, back to the story about your dad.
So he was just a guy who could like talk to various groups, connect them. He was really great at like connecting ideas and they came up during the civil rights movement. So my mom was in the student nonviolent coordinating committee and my dad was a photographer. So he shot SNCC like talking to the Klan and all these incredible things. I mean, they were like really amazing, just activists and artists in the 70s, but then they had kids. So, you know, everybody got a job. Yeah. So
Oh.
then, we became the project, the kids became the project, which
So
was fun.
so that's like parenting also. So they
Yeah.
started parenting
Yeah, they had
before it
to.
became a verb.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I think, but I definitely think that they were very much like, whatever you want to do, like you have to do it yourself. And I don't think parents do that anymore. I think parents are going to put you in these programs, put you in these classes, we're going to make these decisions for you. My parents were like, whatever you want to do, you have to figure it out on your own. And then you have to figure out how to do it on your own. And then you have to stick with it on your own. And so, like, I just remember I broke my arm at camp one year and in karate camp. And I'd ridden my bike to camp. And my dad's like, well, you got to ride it back home. And I was like, I have a broken arm. He's like, I don't know. You don't ride a bike with your arm.
Okay. Yes.
And I mean,
That'll
at the
do
time,
it.
I'm sure I was deeply resentful, but now he was just like no one is going to save you. You
Yeah.
have to save yourself. You know what I mean? Never drove me to a party. Never drove me to a friend's house. Like, if you want to go over there, you got to get on the bus. You got to do it on your own because I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to be here to take care of you. And if you want something, you have to figure out how to get it.
Yes to
Yeah.
all that. It's a
God.
beautiful thing.
I mean, breakthroughs in therapy are so great. I love therapy. I'm not in it right now, but I really do love it. And I love hearing when people have something transformational happen.
What's something transformational your therapist helped you through?
I love my therapist so much. I'll say her first name because hi, Deborah. She was really non-judgmental therapist, which is what I really loved. And I'm not saying that therapists, I think they're all supposed to be non-judgmental.
Yeah, we are.
But when I went through my process of finding one, I interviewed a lot of people and I felt like some were not participating at all. They were just kind of staring at me.
Yes.
Some were, there was some disapprobation from some of them. And then I had one where I was like, these are all the things and I'm a bad person. And she's like, absolutely not. We're just going to figure out why you're doing them. And if you want to keep doing them, you can keep doing them. And if you don't want to keep doing them, we'll figure out how to not keep doing them. And she was just so engaged that you felt like you were talking to a friend. And, she would say, and maybe you would say that a lot of therapies is you actually just talking to yourself, but you need someone who can help you like latch onto the things that are important and dig into the things that are important. And she just was. So what's one of the things that she helped me figure out? God, I haven't been in therapy in a little while. So I just have these very glowing memories about it. Like, I just remember like loving being in therapy and like, sometimes you wouldn't want to go. You're like, oh, I don't want to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would always come out of therapy like I had my own Beyonce hair when I'd be like,
Yeah.
yes, it was great. And also like the thing, like I've been trying to encourage some people in my like friend group to go to therapy, and I'm always like, they're like, oh, I don't want, it's gonna bum me out, or I'm like, you don't understand how quickly you can turn the ship if you have someone to talk to who you don't feel like you're burdening. Because the other thing is like, I don't want to burden you because you're my friend. I'm like, first of all, you can tell me anything, but also like, I had a friend I was talking to the other day, and they were having some issues with their family, and they're like, I don't want to go to therapy. I'll just talk to you. I was like, well, first of all, I'm not I mean, listen, I talk a lot of shit and I read a lot of Wikipedia, but I'm not a therapist. I really am unqualified for this conversation. We talked for like a while, and then I was like, oh, I get it. You need to set boundaries. I was like, if you'd gone to therapy, they would have told you this in the first 3 minutes. It took me 3 weeks to get here.
That's right. That's right.
It
can happen so quickly. I think that is a misconception is, oh, it's going to be so brutal and rough and I'm going to feel so bad. But like, no, actually, there are some moments, sure, that are painful, but that's how you get there. And they're like few and far between, honestly. And the transformation that can happen
like
is
instantaneously.
wild.
And then this friend, when I said like, I think what you need to do is set some boundaries, not just for them, but for yourself. Like, you need to see what's happening, and then you need to tell yourself this isn't okay, and then you need to say it to them. And then they, like, that day they tried it, and they're like, this is going great. I was like, see, but if you've been in therapy, you would have got here such a long time ago.
Right.
I'm just your buddy. What the hell do I know?
That's right, because that's what the therapist does. Like, my job is to see things that they don't see and then help them see those things. And then when they see them, it's like, oh, and then the smallest little shifts will, and I like to say this, it can change the trajectory of your entire life.
Your whole
so
life.
It's like so worth it. And I wish that people understood that it's not just if you really hit rock bottom and you're really struggling and you need therapy. Like that's kind of the overall view people have. But it's like, if you want your life to be better, just go to therapy and plug in.
Yes.
And you can transform it.
Yes. And to use an improv term.
Yes. I love yes and.
Yes.
And I'm not an improver, but I love it too.
Right? People are always trying to optimize for sleep, optimize for nutrition, change their workout plan, screw around with their face. I try to find a perfect eye cream, whatever.
Yep.
Therapy is just optimizing for mental health. It's everyone thinks it's like, yo, I woke up in an alley and I'm Robert Downey Jr. and now I've got to go. No, like you're optimizing for everything in your life except for the thing that fundamentally is going to change your need to optimize for everything else in your life.
100%.
So
change it all through therapy.
One, like it's so fundamental. I mean, it took me a really long time to start because I just felt like it was for rich people. You know what I mean? And it was like a luxury.
Why did you think that? Explain.
I don't know, because I just think that was kind of the archetype of like the therapist, patient relationship, like in the 70s and 80s. It was for rich people. It's expensive, and
like
you kind of lie down on the couch and talking about their childhood, and I think we've only started to kind of destigmatize it in like recent years. So for me, I was like, I'm fine. I'm doing fine. Like I don't need to go to therapy, and I didn't. I didn't go to therapy until I was going through a divorce, and then I was like, okay, I really need to talk to somebody.
So it was that kind of thing where you felt like this is a struggle, and I need.
Yeah. It was probably like new feelings that I hadn't had. I mean, no matter whether you want to be married or don't want to be married, like a marriage is just like a death, and it's really, really painful for everybody involved, and and you kind of can't see a way through it. It feels very much like you're going to feel horrible for the rest of your life. So I think the big thing I was working on is like, am I going to feel this bad forever? I can talk about this now because it's been a long time, but I just remember like I would be fine, and then I would get in the car and I would cry all the way to work, and then I'd get out and I'd wave at everybody and smile, and then I'd get in the car and I'd cry all the way home. And I was like, but like it wasn't a decision. It was just I was so sad.
Yeah.
And just talking to a therapist, like gradually helped, kind of work through all that emotion, which can be unbearable. And if you're not someone who's comfortable with emotion, can feel again like a death, like can completely like fling you into dysfunction. And I couldn't because I was on TV, so I had to be like smiley, smiley, smiley pants.
What were you on at that point?
I was on The Talk. Yeah, it was brutal.
So you had to really like turn it off and turn it
just
on.
Glittery, smiley, and also like, I mean, I don't speak a lot about that, but I think it's instructive because I have other friends that are going through similar situations. Like, I was really trying to move through it with kindness. I really wanted it to be I wanted to be kind to my spouse. I wanted to be kind to myself. I wanted to model for my family and for other people a way of moving through the end of a marriage that wasn't destructive or cruel, and try to do it without anger. You know what I mean? And sometimes those feelings come up even when you don't want them to. And so I was really trying to stay compassionate. And so that just fills you up with another set of emotions, which is just intense sadness, intense pain, and like just feelings of loss all the time, And I think for people that are listening who are going through the end of a long relationship, it's very hard to know both that you love someone and that you shouldn't be with them anymore. Do you know what I mean? Those things are and so maybe that was the breakthrough that I had in therapy, was like, how can you love someone so intensely and also know so specifically and acutely that you don't want to be in that relationship anymore? How do you reconcile those things? They don't make any sense. If you love someone, you should want to stay together.
Not so simple.
It isn't that simple.
No.
It isn't that simple. And so I was very much like, I was bewildered. I was like, how can I feel both things at the same time? How can both of these things be true?
Right. So you had that internal conflict that was like,
there's
were
something
you
wrong
struggling
with me.
with? Right. Oh, there's something wrong with me.
Yeah, and I want too much, and I'm a bad person, and I'm a bad woman. How can you, if you love somebody, you should stay with them. I'm very loyal. I have a very, like, that's pretty much like my core personality trait.
So that was
my
probably
core sense, is that I'm a very loyal person, and I stick with people, and I stick it out. And so to want to leave something when I love the person and ostensibly they haven't done anything wrong, like what's wrong with you? You want too much. You know what I mean?
But you got past that.
I did. I did. Yeah. It turned into an asshole. Woo. No, that's not what happened.
No, it's an inside job. It's about learning how to see things.
Well, just knowing that you deserve to be happy.
And you're not doing him any favors.
No.
By being with him if you really want to.
No, and he was a good person, and we just wanted different things, and everybody should get what they want. You know what I mean? Everybody should get what they want. And I don't even think that's a narcissist perspective. I just think you only have one life.
It's not. And I don't think, and again, the term narcissist, it's thrown around entirely too much.
Yeah.
And
it's overused.
I mean, there's something called narcissistic personality disorder, and that's a personality disorder, and that's like legit. And you're going to know if you're dealing with somebody who has it.
Believe me. I've met them. Yeah.
You probably have met some because of where you are.
I have met a couple of people who are their narcissism is so extraordinary that it's riveting. Like you can't even be mad. You're like, oh wow, you are
something to
really
watch.
sick. This is crazy. You have no idea who you are or what your relationship to the world around you is.
So have you seen people like that at work or in your personal life?
In my personal life, at work, I mean, they're everywhere. It's not just Hollywood.
Yes.
Right? But the close proximity of this business.
Yeah.
And I think you could find other lines of work where you'd have this kind of proximity. I don't know, working on an oil rig or, being an astronaut, something where you're with someone all day, every day for many, many hours. So your intimacy with their behavior becomes just much, there's much more closeness. And so you're getting like the granularity of their personality. I mean, everybody has jerks at work, right? But
yes,
spending like 16 hours with somebody every day for
different.
6 months.
And plus they're putting all of their things on the table and like all of their emotions and everything.
And then there are certain businesses that reward outsized personalities or at the very least don't work to corral them in any way. So they can really like bloom. They can blossom.
Right.
The narcissism can really like reach its full potential.
Yes, it allows it. So, okay. So after your divorce, then you wrote a book.
I wrote a book right around in there, but it was actually, I think, before the divorce.
Oh, before the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. About your dating mistakes.
Oh no, it wasn't about my dating mistakes. It was a book about failure.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So there were some dating mistakes in there because sure, I failed in a variety of venues, but the book was really about embracing risk and embracing failure and about how I would have people come up to me and go, I want to be a comedian or I want to be a writer, but I'm afraid I'm going to fail. And I was like, well, let me just break it to you right now. You are going to fail. There's no way to make any kind of progress, to make any advancement. There's no way to get to where I am now without abject continual failure. They are twins. They are married. You must try. You will fail. You will learn. You will get back up again. You'll go again. You cannot learn from success. You can only learn from failure. And success is not the absence of failure. It's persistence through failure. And so then I had a podcast at the time. I had a podcast for 5 years called Girl on Guy, where I got to interview lots of really exciting luminaries, Anthony Bourdain and Charlize Theron and Viola Davis and my mom and Chris Rock. And I would always ask them to tell a self-inflicted wound story, which is a story about something that had gone wrong in their lives that had been their own fault. So it couldn't be like something that happened to them, but something that the call was coming from inside the house. And it was kind of on its face a way to humanize these people that seem, inhuman, that seem perfect, like they've fallen from the sky. But it was also a way to illustrate, that just imperfection is the engine. Imperfection and flaws and failure are the way that you get tough and the way that you understand yourself and the world. So then the book was, after I'd asked 220 people to tell that story, I decided it was probably only fair that I do it myself. So it was just a collection of those stories and kind of little takeaways from all of them about, mostly it was for comedy. I just wanted people to laugh at me, but also to say like, here's what I got from this experience and here's what you can take something that might turn into fodder for therapy. I embarrass myself and I can't stop thinking about it into, here's what I got out of it. And like one of the stories was that I had a really intense fear of going on stage with my fly down. And it was, it was unnatural. It was bordering on obsessive. And so frightened that was going to happen to me and everyone's going to laugh at me and it was going to be really embarrassing. And then one day I was on the toilet when they called my name, like the guy before me hadn't shown up. And I was literally like sitting on the toilet and I was hearing them call my name for like the last time. And I sprinted out on stage and I started doing my material and people were laughing really hard, but like not at the right places and not for the right reasons. And I finally realized that it wasn't just that, I was like gaping. Do you know what I mean? It was like not a subtle thing. And it was like that moment had occurred, right? And I froze and I still had like another 10 minutes on stage. Like I couldn't run away. Also, I couldn't run away for a variety of reasons. Do you know what I mean? Like that would be a bigger injury than the one that was happening. And I just zipped it up and said, I thought you guys were my friends. And I kept going. And then that was it. That fear was gone. So that was like immersion therapy by accident, right? But it just proves like these things that you fear are not going to kill you. And in fact, embracing them removes that chink in your armor, right? And just makes you tougher.
Yeah, you are filled with gems.
That's so nice.
Like they're spilling out like so many. It's like there are so many things that I want to. talk about that you said, because they are really all gems, and these are a lot
Oh.
of the things that I like to share with people too. So it's so good. I don't even know where to start. So the self-inflicted failure is so, because people don't think
That they did it to themselves.
no, and that's the whole trick,
Yeah.
is to see, and the good news about that is that it means that you have agency,
Right.
right? If you're a victim of outside situations or other people, good luck to you fixing it.
Right. Right.
But if it comes from you, then guess what? It's in
Right.
your hands.
Right. Absolutely. And even if that person is a jerk, like that can be true too. Like I've had some people in my life that, I used to tell a lot of my friends, like I would have these friends and they weren't good friends. And I'm so loyal. I'd be like, why am I so stupid that I love this person and they don't love me back the way I think they should be loved? And why do I still love them? And then I would just be like, well, my love is my own. Like I can love somebody and it doesn't have to be requited, but I do need to remove myself from the situation that's making me feel like crap.
Yeah.
Right? And not turn it into this like, oh God, you're so dumb. Why do you love people who are bad? And be like, well, you can't really control that. You're a loving person, so you love them. But then you just love them from far away, because when you love them any closer, like you get
Interesting.
injured.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like the narrative that you're dumb because you fell for the wrong person is unfair.
Okay, you're also not dumb. You did it for a reason.
Right. Well, either to learn something or because you saw something in them or whatever. And I can't wait to hear what the reason is.
Yeah.
But like there have definitely been friends in my life where like I was like, geez, like this person is so horrible. But there was some part of them that like sparked something in me, or they were fun to be around, or they were exciting at the time. And then I realized like this is not good for me and I have to get away. But then I'd still be like, I still love that person. What does that mean? Well, because I'm just a loving person. I don't see them anymore because that was bad. That was bad for me. And painful, and they can't learn and they never listen. And why am I talking still? But I wanted to excise the part of me that was like beating myself up for like caring about somebody who was uncaring. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Wait, what's the reason?
Okay,
What's
so there
what's the
was
reason. That
reason.
happened?
So
Yeah.
I would have to know what your personal reason was. I would need to know more about why. So it probably has something to do with relationships in the past or beliefs that you have had your whole life. And so you entered a relationship with somebody who really wasn't deserving of your love.
And these were all platonic, like friends, like really, really close friends, not lovers.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Right,
Also
right.
interesting. A little different.
Yeah, because I was in my marriage from like 19 to 40 something. So
that's
yeah,
a long
and I
time.
met
What?
my ex-husband in college. With my whole adult life. So all of these people I'm talking about were like really, really close friends, which I think is a different kind of conversation than a lover.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. But also, like, no wonder also that it was so loaded, your divorce also, from 19 to 40 something. There's so much in there.
I spent more time with my ex-husband than I did with my parents. Do you know what I mean? Like incredibly formative. Like some of the most formative years of my life. And I have nothing but good things to say about that relationship, that experience. Like a wonderful person that I will always love. And I really feel like I want to always be like a loving person. Yeah. That's just like after loyalty, and maybe loyalty and loving are like the two. It's just a nice
loyalty is tricky.
Loyalty is tricky.
Yeah, like loving is good, and all those things with your friendships that you're saying, like, well, why do I still care about this person? Like, I'm not going to label that as bad, like, because I do think you are a loving person. That is a good thing, and it is a little different because it's friendships you're talking about. And as long as you've put the boundaries up and you've kind of stepped away and realized, oh, this is hurting me, and then you're no longer getting hurt, but you still have a positive feeling towards them, like nothing wrong with that.
Right. And then also because the other way is that you're carrying around resentment, which I'm just not interested in doing.
No.
Like, it's just a waste of energy. It's a waste of time being pissed at somebody and whatever. They're off skipping down the street. They're some golden retriever puppy. They've moved on to the next thing and you're still pissed about it. And what does that get you?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I'm so interested though. I do want, like, the therapist in me wants to dive deeper. We're not going to, but to figure out what the loyalty is all about.
I mean, no, we can do it for 2 minutes. But I mean, it is a fun, like, really close friends of mine. I'm like, this is my fundamental, I don't know what there's a word for it. Like,
flaw?
Not flaw. Like, like the quality, the way you see yourself, right? Like your fundamental kind of
piece, like your identity.
Yeah, like an element of my identity. The way that who I believe I am is that I'm a loyal person.
So you value that quite a bit.
I value that really highly.
And you are that.
And I am that. Like, for example, I've been with the same manager, the same publicist, the same lawyer for my entire career, over 2 decades. I've shifted agencies, but that's very much the nature of the business. But like everybody else in my life has been in my life since I started. It's very hard for me to put somebody down.
Okay, so did you ever want to switch and didn't, or do you feel like they've been the right person for you?
There have been like kerfuffles and blips, but I believe in investing in someone, and I believe that I just believe in engaging and investing. And if and it's not about, I picked the right person and I'm great. Like I did pick the right person, but also they've grown with me and we've grown together and I've invested in our growth. Like we've done that as a team. You know what I mean? So
that's a really positive. That's a positive attribute. That's a positive demonstration of loyalty.
Okay. Versus
right?
like
if they're worthy of it,
yeah.
and you don't need to change to something else, and you see the value and you invest in the value, that's a good thing.
Yeah, like we bet on each other, right? Like I bet on you, you bet on me. Like we built something together.
Yeah,
you know
people
what I mean?
don't do that often.
I think everybody. I think people are like the world owes me.
Especially less and less as the world moves forward.
Right, towards like AI and whatever. I don't know.
But so has it been? Is it to a fault? Your loyalty. That's the question.
I think as I've gotten older, the parts of it that have been to a fault I've worked on. So like I've put, I have a really good friend that I mean, like you're going to see this theme of loyalty in all of my life. Like my two closest friends from home, I've known since the 8th grade, and they're still my two closest friends. And then my two closest friends from college, I have friends and like they've just been there. They haven't gone anywhere. Like when I go home, I spend time with guys I've known since I was 13. And one of them was my best friend, was the best man at my wedding. I was the best man at his wedding. Like, I'm loyal. But one of my friends, he always goes, you have to prune to grow. That's the one.
Okay, that is a yes. You do have to prune to grow.
Yeah.
But you're pruning the dead
delicately, very like bonsai style. So as I've gotten older, I've been like, okay, and now this sounds mercenary. Because I don't think relationships have to be 50-50, and I'm talking about friendships. But I do think they can't be 90-10 all the time. There has to be at some point, some moment where the other person shows up for you. It can't just be you showing up for them all the time. So those people that I've had in my life where I felt like I loved them and I showed up for them and I supported them, but then when I needed them, they weren't available to me, I have let those people go. Mostly through attrition. It hasn't been a table flip. I just, slowly kind of fade because I'm also like not really excited about confrontation or conflict. Because I don't have any energy for that. I'm like, I have to make art. I can't be yelling at you.
Okay, so I do think the conflict, the distaste for conflict is probably tied to loyalty also. Yeah. Agree. Again, I have to go back to something you just said, and then I want to go something forward based on that. I don't want to lose either one. So before, when you said, oh, shoot, I'm losing it already. Friendships, they don't have to be 50-50. So I agree with that. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot you'll see on social media of like, oh, it should be, they should be doing exactly what you do for them. And it's not true. And it doesn't mean that it's unhealthy if it varies or even if it's a little bit in a different way, because some people they're a little bit more, they initiate more things and others don't, and they have to come out of their shell. And so sometimes you get that dynamic. Doesn't mean the friendship is bad, but absolutely if it's 90-10, all the time.
Forever.
No good. Yeah. Move on. Okay, that was the one thing. Oh, okay, here's my question for you about loyalty. So have your friendships and sticking with the same people, have they kind of held you back from creating new relationships with people?
So that's a really good question. The answer is no. I will say that I had this, and this is a nice nugget for people that are younger than you and I had this burst of experiences where all of a sudden I just made like a million new friends. Oh my God, you guys are popular. That's so obnoxious. Where we made a lot of new friends. And I do think that I have some people in my life who have had a harder time with that. And they were like, God, you seem like you made a lot of new friends. And I was like, well, I guess just when I started to think a lot more about what I wanted my life to look like, I started to just put myself out there more. And maybe putting down some of the negative friendships allowed me to form new friendships, sure. But like at this point in my life, I have formed lots of new interesting friendships.
Okay,
Yes,
so
which has
that's
been
good.
really
So
fun.
it hasn't limited you, which I
No.
was kind of digging around to see, well, where has the
Right.
loyalty
How
held
has
you
it come?
back?
Yeah.
But it hasn't. And
Mhm.
putting yourself out there is so important, and people are so afraid of it. I'm going to go back to something you said earlier about fear, because I do think it's important to talk about fear, because that drives so much of
Mhm.
everybody's
Mhm. Right.
behavior.
And like insecurity, right? Like which they're the same thing, I think. Right.
Insecurity. So I used to say, like, oh, what do people see you for therapy for? Like, what's your specialty? And it's like, well, self-esteem and
Mhm.
relationships, because
Mhm.
those are the things. It
Yeah.
all boils down to relationships and self-esteem.
Mhm.
Like, it,
Mhm.
it really almost does.
Yeah.
And fear, though, is the driver for
Right.
everybody, or
Right.
not necessarily everybody, but it is so true that it will. And so loyalty too, I would attach to fear a bit in
Mm.
normal circumstances, but I don't see it with you, which is why I'm like, I feel like I want to dig, but I'm not seeing that
I
as a
well,
theme.
so here, so I don't know that I can like confidently or fully explain like why loyalty is so important to me, but I will say how it has served me, which is that it's reduced uncertainty in certain aspects of my life so that I can live in uncertainty in other parts, right? Like, for example, the people that I've known since I was a kid don't care what I do for a living, aren't like glamorized by it, aren't they're curious about it in the way that they're curious about what everybody else is doing, but they're
Mm.
not like enamored of it. So I can just be myself around them, right? And they're people that have known me since I was a really dorky, really funny looking kid on a skateboard, and I never have to perform for them, and they really could care less. Like they'll show up if I ask them, but they're not like, "Can I go to the Hollywood premiere?" They're like, they don't care. Like, let's go get a pizza.
Right.
So like, it's really allowed this level of kind of like self-confidence. I know who I am. I have people around me who know who I am. I can be that person. I don't have to put on airs.
Yeah.
And so then I can go out into the other part of the world, which is demanding that I put on airs, and it doesn't like it won't change me. And I mean, I need a better word than change me, because that sounds like, oh, you changed, but more like if you come into a business like this and you don't know who you are, and you're looking at all these totems and examples of what you should be, how you should look, how your hair should look, what you should wear, who your friends should be, it's very easy to quickly lose a sense of self, right? And be chasing an ideal that is impossible to accomplish. And you can get lost really, really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Not just because you're surrounded by this. I think our culture surrounds us with it as well. It's all Instagram, and this is how to be happy, and this is how to be popular, and how to be famous, and how to be beautiful. But you're not allowed to form your own opinion. Your opinion is being formed for you, right? And you see someone who's doing what you want to do, and you think, well, to be there, I've got to do that. And quite frankly, there's no recipe, and there's no way to get there doing the way that person did it, because they did it the way it's not repeatable. These paths are not repeatable. But if you don't know who you are, very quickly you're like, well, I don't have the right suit, and my lipstick is bad, and I'm a bad person, and I'm going to fail.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's a relentless message. It never goes away. It doesn't matter where you are in your career. It will haunt you to the day you die, especially if you are a woman.
Yes, but it never got to you.
No.
Good for you.
That's too confident a response. It's in there,
Uh-huh.
but I feel like I have the fundamentals to fight it. Right. I tell this story all the time, but I was on the red carpet like years ago, and the guy asked me what shoes I was wearing, and I said some very fancy designer. I was very proud of myself. I was very young. I had very little money, and he said, "Whoa, well, why not Jimmy Choo?" And I was like, "You gonna fucking buy me shoes? What are you talking about?" Like, first of all, I don't even know who you are, but why are you shaming me from the shadows of a red carpet? Like, and that is the business. Why not this thing? Why not more expensive? Why not YSL? Why not $1,000 purse? Why not a $3,000 purse? How can you win that battle?
Yeah.
It's unwinnable. So the only way to win is not to play.
Right. Is it hard not to play when you're at the level of success that you are?
It's easier not to play now because I feel like I have a little bit of success, and so I can reject it, and I constantly reject it. But it's like an everyday. Like, if that was the work, if that was my practice, it's to constantly reject the idea that like I need to buy more, do more, wear more, carpet more. I'm in this period right now where I'm trying not to shop. And, and I'm repeating outfits, and, that's like heresy. I saw you in that suit 7 months ago. What human being on the planet isn't wearing an outfit twice? Like, what is this stupid metric? But then you think, oh, does this look like I'm not successful? I'm not getting photographed. I'm not getting, memed. Like, should I be doing more? But like, I want to be making art. I don't want to be thinking about my stupid outfit.
Yeah, yeah. And yet it's part of it's baked in.
It's baked into the job.
Uh-huh.
And it's a constant kind of like, should I have been here when this person was taking a photo? Should I be like, should I have more famous friends? Should I be going with my famous friends and taking pictures with famous people? Like, what? What a waste of time.
What a waste
of time and energy.
So true.
It's beyond.
It's so true. But you're being bombarded by it all the time. I'm sure.
It'll be and I mean, imagine if I'm feeling it, how much more intensely someone might be feeling it if they were just starting out.
Yeah.
Like it feels like this thing that's completely out of reach.
It's so interesting. I see that you have these ideas about how you want to be in the world that are so high level that but you're conscious of them all the time. And so your actions have to fall into those goals that you have for yourself, or like those ways of being. It's really highly respectable. I totally respect it.
Thank you.
And can't be easy, but it's like you have these things like I want to have this divorce. I want to be divorced with compassion, and I want to be kind about it, and I don't want to do it with anger, and like that's a big goal. And this is one of those as well. And do you see that in yourself, that you do that?
I was thinking about it because I've been going through this period where this is very esoteric, where I'm trying to be more at ease. And that's the best way to explain it. Like I'm not an anxious person, but I am like super type A and like engine always on. And I always feel like I'm not doing the thing I'm supposed to be doing right now. Like I'm doing this thing right now, but what I really need to be doing is this other thing. And I have like, I have a really long to-do list every day, and I'm totally dopamine addicted. I'm like, I checked it off. I got all my to-do list done today, and I know that's what's happening. But, and so I'm really working on, in my head, and I imagine people listening might understand this, in my head, I think everybody else is so relaxed, and I am the only one freaking the F out. I've dropped too many F-bombs in your show already. Do you know what I mean? Everyone else is just chill, and I'm losing it. So I've been, and it's been years of working on just trying to find a way to be at ease. Even when I'm stressed and it's a stressful situation. So a part of it is like, if I've got a plan and I'm executing against the plan, then I can be relaxed. But then also trying to say to myself that like, not everything has to get done today. Like being at ease is a part of how you get things done. Like, anxiety and stress is compromising your ability to perform at a high level. Rest is a part of performance. So that's been something I've been working on for like the last few years. It's just because my internal narrative is always like, oh God, you didn't do enough today. You didn't get enough done. And then I'm like, but who said what? Who are you talking to? Who set this level of like what has to be done? And I mean, I am very much like a type A, like running as fast as I can, wanting to accomplish as much as I can. I feel like I have, I'm in a privileged position, and I want to leverage it for everything that I can. I don't want to feel like I left anything on the, like in my pockets, put it all out there in the field. That comes from probably being an athlete when I was younger, but also I feel this responsibility, and this is again, very esoteric and self-involved, but for other underrepresented women, I feel like I really want to create like a really wide pathway for people to come behind me, because I didn't have a lot of people doing what I'm doing now that I could point to and go, well, because people are like, well, no one's ever done that. You can't do that. And I had nobody to be like, well, what about her? So I'm really trying to create a space where other people can say, oh, and this is where I would score very high on that test, the egotism test, the narcissism test. I do feel like whatever I can do to make the space bigger for other women, I want to do it. For other underrepresented people, I want to do that, because I just want people like, I remember when I was younger, they go, who are your idols? Who do you admire? And they were all men.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
They?
Yeah, they were comedians, like Mark Maron and, Richard Pryor and Chris Rock, and like the guys that wanted to do what I wanted to do. They were all men. I was embarrassed by that. You know what I mean? I was very aware that like, even directorially, like all my heroes or directors are all men. And they're women now. I think there are more women now, but like there's so few of us.
Yeah.
So I just I guess I feel that if there's a pressure that I feel.
That's what I was going to say. You have put a lot of pressure on yourself.
I do. I very
like
much
a ton.
do. Yeah. Yeah. That's if there was the one part of my narrative that's like stress driven, it's like if I don't I didn't cold punch this morning. I didn't have my vitamins. I didn't do this. I didn't get 8 hours. I didn't turn this thing in. Like that's my,
Yeah.
and I'm really working on like softening that part of my personality.
Right. But you have these like these internal like shoulds that you should be doing, like the sleep and like all those things. But you also have these bigger, huge ideals about what kind of mark you want to make on the world and what you want to do for other people. And that's a lot.
Right.
I mean, they're wonderful that you have those and they drive you to do the things that you are, but at the same time that's a lot of pressure you're holding every day.
Yeah I mean, it's interesting. Like I don't think it's bad or good. I think
No,
it's interesting.
Agree. And I like more of this. If only more people felt the way that you do and have these ideals for themselves and these standards for themselves, and they can think and look into the future and see what they can do and the impact they can have. Like that, we need more people doing that. You just don't want to self-destruct.
No, you just don't want to burn out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like, that's it right now, right? Like,
I don't think you're self-destructing,
no,
though.
because I also thrive. I thrive with a bit of pressure. I feel like it's exciting when things are difficult because I want to test myself. Like, can I get this done? And I think directing is exciting because I get to help everybody else test themselves. Like that's in I think a lot of people think that directors are like they're tyrants or they're dictators, but for me they're coaches. Like I'm a coach and I'm like I want to create an environment for everybody to do their best work and really to tell them I know this seems really hard, but I'm super confident that you can excel here and I want to see what you bring back to me. And that's great when people don't get that at all from anybody at work.
But we all need that.
We do need it.
At work and in our personal lives.
Yeah, like you're going to kill it. I can't wait to see you kill it. Yeah. So that's, I try to move through the world that way. And then I engage in a lot of self-talk and it's really funny. I'm just in my full talking to myself era.
Yeah. So, I just heard recently actually that's more common. Like when you hit 50 or something like that, I think you start to talk to yourself more.
Oh,
and by the way, I definitely talk to myself out loud.
Oh my God.
And it's quite enjoyable.
It is. I'm great company. And I sometimes it's just like, oh my God, you forgot to do this or don't forget to do this. But lately I just been, you're doing great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job. I love you. You're doing it's like the most like random Teletubbies like self-talk. But
Did Teletubbies do that?
It just feels Teletubbies. You're doing a good job.
Yeah. Barney too.
Yeah, Barney.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah, but it's true. And the self-talk is everything. Yeah. But usually we're walking around and I'm sure you have negative self-talk too.
Negative self-talk.
But so it's like at least you have the argument going on inside of yourself. Is like you might say something negative, but then you'll see it and then the positive self-talk, like you'll tell yourself, wait a minute.
Yeah. And hopefully and I wonder if when you're talking with people you talk about this because I think the negative self-talk is almost automatic, right? It's like a record that just plays in your brain and you have to break it. You have to constantly be breaking it. So saying like, wait a minute, no, that was like, don't do that to yourself. That produces nothing, right? Like whatever it is about your body or about your face or about whatever it is, like that's just useless self-talk and get back into the good stuff. The other self-talk I love to do if I'm alone at home is I'll go, I'm going to throw myself a party. And then I just like make myself some food, get myself a glass of wine, and I'm like, I'm just partying by myself. And I never think like, oh no, I think like this is gonna be the greatest night. I'm gonna just like take care of myself and be nice to myself. Yeah.
So, love that.
Yeah, that's really good.
I want to actually use that as an assignment for some people who I work with. Step one is just noticing it, right? Yeah. So even start tallying it. Put a tally mark every time that you, and you might be surprised by how many.
That it's all day long.
Yes,
and
it's
like
constant.
Here's the other thing about the body. This was the self-talk thing I've been doing about the body. I just keep going, this body's carrying around your brain. Because I think we're just so fixated on how we look. I'm like, this body is carrying around your brain. Your brain is the most important part of you. Like the brain is what's like perceiving and seeing and feeling and doing. It's the most part. This little body with whatever this one thing is that you don't like is carrying around your awesome brain. Stop being so freaked out about your tummy. It's carrying around your brain.
I love that. That's a gem. So here's something I try to tell myself about, like, I'll point out all my flaws to myself, my facial flaws, like, what is with this aging face? And like, I'm looking at my smile. I'm like, what is going on here? And then I'll tell myself, there's something about your face that makes people feel comfortable and feel like they can talk to you.
Welcoming.
So your face is very important to be the way that it is. You don't want to change it. You don't want to hate it.
Absolutely. Yes. Oh my God. Like and also a friend just sent me a photo of myself. in my 30s, and I was like, I look like a golden retriever puppy, not in a cute way. You know when like they're like 2 or 3 and they're like really floppy and droopy and weird looking? I actually prefer my face now
Lucky
because I
you.
just think like, look at all this, like the face is
Yeah.
I was alive. Look, she was dumb.
Yes.
She didn't know what the hell was going on. She was a ding dong. And I mean, she was a nice lady, but she was a dummy. And like all this other amazing stuff has happened since then. And like it's here.
Yeah, it's
right?
like it's like when you look at sometimes when you look at a face that's a lot younger, it's like they're missing something. Something's missing
yes,
here.
she
It's like
is
blank.
like she's terrified.
Yes,
and
yeah,
she's
there's-
like holding on by a thread.
Right, or it's almost like a fuzzy outline of something, like you're not even seeing the whole
You're not fully
beauty of
formed.
the not fully
You're not
formed.
fully formed.
So messages like that, I say we all start like thinking
Yes.
of messages like that to tell ourselves, because it
Yeah.
really is, it's true.
It is true. It is true. My mom said, she goes, "You're going to love your 50s." And I was like, all right, lady. She's like, it was my best decade. And I my 40s were very dynamic, like good, but very, very dynamic. And by dynamic, I mean, the shit went down. But like, you know, changes were happening, and changes were good and changes were bad, but change is inevitable. And so it was just a lot changed. My 50s have been just like I have been more at ease. I have been more relaxed. Things, and I'm going to ask you this question now, which is, let me see if I can parse this properly. You were saying that, you know, that the moment that you went from, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening, to, of course this is happening, I think is tied a little bit, maybe not to age, but to experience, which is like when I was younger, things that I'm doing now so effortlessly would have been an intense strain. I would have been really struggling to come up with answers and solutions for creative problems. I would have doubted myself constantly. I wouldn't have asserted certain ideas because I wasn't confident in them working. And now I've been doing this long enough that just answers and solutions they just come with ease. I'm synthesizing at a faster rate because I've had more experiences. I've seen more things, and these things that would have been such a struggle and I would have been so timid about 10 years ago, I'm like, oh, absolutely do that. And not even being bossy, just with confidence. This is what's going to work. Check it out. Try it. I'm so confident in this because I have lived, and I know, and to say to somebody with like grace and affection, like I think this is going to help you, like give it a try. I mean, and I'm not a therapist, so it's more like, you know, go eat at this restaurant, but just that idea of like, you have to be alive to get to that point. And Tom Morello, he's the bassist for Rage Against the Machine, a different Tom. His last name is not in my head. The comedian, long hair.
Tom.
Oh,
I don't know, Green or something?
No, not Tom Green. It'll come to me in a minute. He's brilliant, but his name has fallen out of my head. It's been occupied by Margarita. He used to let me open for him when I was a baby comic, and I would go up to him and I'd be like, "How do I get to be like you? I want to be like you. I want the career that you have." I really admired his style, and he was very relaxed on stage. He was very conversational. You know, he didn't do jokes. He just kind of talked to people, and it seemed so effortless. And I was like, "How do I get to be like you?" And he's like, "You just got to keep getting up." This is pre 10,000 hours, you know, Malcolm Gladstone, right? This is pre 10,000 hours. I was like, you just don't want to tell me the trick. You just don't, you know what I mean? You just don't want to let me in on your secret. And now I'm like, that's it. You just have to keep getting up. And there's no substitute for age. And so this thing that we all resent and we fear and we're, you know, trying to avoid is the very thing that makes us better at what we do.
Yes to that. 100%. It is the greatest thing. It is so much better than youth in so many ways, in like the biggest ways. Yeah. So it's so crazy that we're fearing the thing that is so beautiful
make life
and makes life so much easier.
Yes.
Unquestionably, I've gotten happier every decade, I would say. And I knew already professionally that that's what the studies already, they've told us this.
But even when they tell you that, you're like, oh, but that's not going to be.
Yeah. And then there are also these theories out there that middle age is like a big dip in happiness and that it gets better when you're older. But I don't find that at all. And I think a lot of it has to do with society changing also. Like I'm seeing more women in their 50s and 60s who are just living their life. And you can tell that it's an amazing time in life. And so it's like you're saying, you didn't have the role models before, but you're a role model for people now. And so you exist and people can see that. So it's just making it more accessible, I think, for everybody, or it's helping everybody see that. But yes, age is a benefit. I have no issues with my age, except I really don't like the aesthetics of it. That's it. I have to admit to it. I have to confess to it.
Well, so that's really interesting. And I think, and I wonder.
It's not because I look old. It's because I don't like the look of what happens when aging occurs.
You don't. I mean, you're gorgeous and you don't look old. But I also wonder if we don't like it because we've been told not to like it.
I'm sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Unquestionably.
Yeah. Like I was talking to somebody yesterday about like how everybody's mutilating their faces and how people are mutilating their faces so intensely that now you don't know what's real and what's not real. Meaning that like you start to see people who haven't mutilated their face and you're like, that looks weird to me because all I'm seeing is people with like giant teeth and lips out to kabunga and, you know, everything whipped to filth and their eyebrows close to their hairline. And so now that's become the norm. And so now I see a person with a normal face and that's confusing to me. So this is not real. This is something we've been manipulated into. Like seeing someone with a 24-inch waist and like a 36D, I'm like, this is all made up. It's all made up. I'm going to get on my soapbox right now. And I know that I'm like an outlier, but like, I'm really trying not to look at anything that's made with AI. And it's not that I'm a Luddite. I couldn't do my job without technology, but what I'm finding is it's getting so good that like, I feel myself not knowing what's real and what's not. And I think that is the most damaging thing to a brain, to not be able to discern between real and fake when you are looking directly at it. We have a certain amount of evaluative structures and evaluative tools in our brain to figure out what is actually authentic and what isn't. And when we lose that tool, how can we move through the world? How can we take in and evaluate data? So I'll see it. Like I looked at a baby Robin Williams. They're making like AI versions of movies.
Yeah.
I was like, don't look at that. Your brain is going to lose the ability to know what is real and what isn't. And it took us millions of years to evolve to this form of humans. Technology is like a tiny atom compared to the amount of time it's gotten us to this point in our technological development. It's going too quickly for the human brain to adapt. And I think the same thing was with all this crazy, like everybody with like 24-inch waist and the giant butt. Like, that's not a real human form. And God bless you if you did it. I love you and I want you to be happy. But if you are looking at it and thinking, if I don't look like that, I won't be happy, like reject that thinking immediately. You are perfect. Your body and your face are totems of what you've lived through. Don't let this person who's trying to look 24 when they're 74 make you insane, because the fact of the matter is they're doing that to themselves because they feel crazy. Now, that's probably unkind. I need a better word than crazy. But when you are seeing someone still trying to look 30,
struggling.
There is some part of them that is really struggling inside. And it's easy for me to say, but we just got to work on like just inhabiting the body and being in the body.
I know. But it's like easier said than done.
It's so much easier said than done.
But I think you're right that we were kind of trained into this. I will also, just for the flip side of the coin, which is I also feel like if you have agency over yourself also. So if you want to, like if you want to dye your hair, you don't want to be gray. Don't be gray. Like it's the same thing. So at the same time, it's like I don't want to be judgmental of people who want to do things, but the bigger impact of everybody doing it is really harmful.
Yes. I feel like people should do what makes them feel good about themselves. 100%. Without any qualification. I guess my thing is everybody is starting to look the same. And I guess that's just interesting to me. We think that that's what everybody wants. We think that's the ideal. But is it? Or is it just the trend?
It's like self-perpetuating.
Yeah, we're like a school of fish. And we're all swimming in, like, after that one front fish who has no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to find a way to... I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying just maybe figure out why you're doing it. And then do all the other things. Do everything in concert, right? To get to a place where self-abuse isn't the way forward. You know what I mean? That's not kind either. I don't want to say
but I just think what you were saying, everything you were saying before I jumped in with the flip side of the coin was spot on, and that's what it should be. It really is. Like, love your body for all of the wonderful things that it's been through and what it does for you. And yes, your body is amazing. And so,
like a perfect machine.
Like,
perfect machine.
I know. And nobody even like knew how to make it. Just made itself.
And it's constantly making itself. It's constantly remaking itself all the time. I was listening for a while. I was in this real dude bro era where I was listening to like, Huberman Lab and all those guys, all the optimization guys, which was good for me. I got a lot out of that stuff. And there was some female like metabolic doctor on there just talking about the body as a process and not as a thing. like the body is a constant process. Like everything is constantly happening inside your body. Everyone's heard that thing that after 7 years, like none of the cells are the same, but like continually reinventing itself, continually accommodating for stressors. Like your body is like doing amazing stuff all day, every day, and we're all like, "Oh my God, I have a pimple."
Yes. The focus is all wrong.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Okay. All right. So I knew I'd have an interesting conversation with you.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I love it.
Like you have, again, shared so many of these great things. So I want to chat about Criminal Minds in a second.
Yes.
But I have to ask you one thing again that you said earlier that I wanted to
Absolutely.
follow up on. So, because sometimes I'll get a thread and I'll be like, oh, I need to know more about that. So you said your 40s were a lot of things going on. So besides the divorce, what else was it?
Oh, let's see, my 40s. So my 40s were, I think, I was growing like my career was kind of moving more quickly. So I was traveling a lot. And that was just a lot of like exploration of like self and self-identity, who I wanted to be friends with, how I wanted to be friends with them. I think getting married so early meant that like I had a really quiet life in my 20s. I hadn't really had a 20s. So I think my 40s were my 20s.
Oh,
honestly.
So were you dating a lot and whatnot?
No, I wasn't dating. I was just like raging. I was just going out all night. You know what I mean? I was just jamming around, staying out till 5 o'clock in the morning, which was fun. You know what I mean? And then, my divorce, and that was when I decided I wanted to direct. And I talked about this a little bit in a post I did for Philosophy with my business partner, but I went through a year of yes, where I was like, I'm just going to say yes to everything. I know that other people have popularized this.
Shonda Rhimes, I think.
Shonda, and I think Oprah, other much more interesting, famous people have done this, but I was like, I'm going to say yes to things and kind of like live in that space of fear, and I had given a speech at Comic-Con about how much I loved the show called Penny Dreadful. And then the showrunner, John Logan, was like, you should come visit us in Ireland. And I was like, people always say that to you in this business, like, come visit us. And you're like, yeah. And you never do it. I was like, I'm going to freaking Ireland.
Good for you.
And,
yes.
Yeah. And I went by myself. And I think also my 40s was a time when I really started to get comfortable with being by myself, which I think we all fear. I think women specifically are very afraid of it for some legitimate reasons, but then I think also for some socialized reasons. And then if you're in this business and you don't have a million people around you, like, are you a loser? Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't believe they're by themselves. Don't they have any friends? But I feel like being comfortable with being alone is like a really important part of being an adult, like being able to self-soothe and care for your own emotions without like external stimulation. So I went on this trip. I read a lot. I drank Guinness. I made a lot of new friends, and then I went back and made my first short film there. So it ended up being this really like catalytic moment for me, because I shouted on some shows. I kind of really grew and formed some new friendships, and then met an artist who was like, do you want to come make a short film back in Ireland in December? And so it was my first like actual like narrative short. And then the next thing I did was I made a feature. So it was very much like these decisions of like choosing to self-sustain, be alone, put myself in uncomfortable situations. Like I went to the set of Vikings, and I knew some actors on that show, and they were like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I'm shadowing. And like, it was that thing of like the nerd, like, 13-year-old nerd me who always felt like an outsider, always felt observed and like I didn't belong. A younger me would have been like, yeah, it's kind of weird. And I was like, oh, I'm hanging out.
Yes.
And I was there by myself, and they all knew me from TV at that point. I was making sandwiches. I was carrying stuff to set. I wasn't just there like hanging out waiting for somebody to wait on me. I was like, I'm here to participate. And I think like that maybe my 40s was also just like a bit about a lot of square one-ing, a lot of like putting myself in situations where I had to like lean into my humility and not be like, I'm here, I'm, television's Aisha Tyler, but like, hey, do you need help? Do you need help lifting those batteries? Do you need help passing out lunch? Just being alive and not without holding on to the artifice that I think we all really collect around ourselves as we get older. Like, these are my accomplishments and I would like to be recognized for them. And I'm moving through the world because I'm a fancy lady, and here's all the stuff I've done and my money and my things. And just going back to just being like really humble and available. So I think that's the dynamism of my 40s, just like putting myself in a situation to learn new things about myself and be silly and not be. And I think that's really served me, because this is so hard to articulate, but I feel like, and I don't think it's just our business, but I do think there's something about Hollywood where when you move into a public space, you've got to look perfect. You've got to be dressed perfectly. You've got to have handlers around you. What car you step out of is important. What handbag you're wearing is important. And I will just like hump it through like a brew pub and like sit down with a book. Like I do not care. And what's great about that is people will go, you know, you look just like Aisha Tyler. I hear that all the time. Can I have a beer? And then I go back to my life because like, who cares? I'm just a lady who does a job. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to always be like some encounter. Like your life is just as interesting as mine, you know? And then if people are excited and they want to take a picture, great. But like, I don't need, and I don't want to need the feeling of moving through these spaces in some weird ass famous fancy way. And there's a famous person whose name I will not mention. I'm not even gonna say what their gender is, who will often when they go into a place have people go in first to announce that they are coming because they cannot bear the feeling of moving through a space without being recognized. But also maybe what they can't bear is the idea that they would not be recognized. And I'm like, who cares? You're just a dude or just a lady and you put your pants on one leg at a time and you poop like everybody else. And when you let go of that need to be exalted, you also let go of the anxiety that you will not be exalted. That's my speech about fame.
That is, yeah, that's accurate. Of course, I need to know who that
dude
is.
I know, it's probably a dude, but
age range.
I'll tell you off air.
Okay,
I don't want to blow them up. They're a nice
okay.
person, but you know,
as long as you
also
tell me.
ridiculous. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's a touch on another thing that I wish we had time to talk about because I do feel like it would be interesting is, you know, the difference between a growth mindset and fixed mindset.
I do.
Like the real actual.
Well, I want to hear from you because I'll just give you like my dude bro. I listened to a podcast thing about it, but I
bet you do then if you listen to it because it's just a little different than what people think, but you definitely have a growth mindset and that is such an easier way to move through the world. If you have a fixed mindset, it's you believe that people can't really change. Like we are who we are.
Right.
We're as smart as we're going to be. And so what that ends up doing is it makes you be afraid of proving that that's actually wrong and you're not that way.
Right.
So if you believe that you're an intelligent person, oh, I'm smart, so I have to always be smart.
I can't look bad. I can't make a mistake.
Yes, because then it will show, oh, you're not really smart. And then that threatens your entire identity. So it makes you fear failure and it makes you feel like you need to feed that all of the time. Whereas if you see yourself as somebody who is constantly learning and improving in life, it's much easier to set yourself up in a place where you're going to fail, which as you know is key to success and key to everything.
Yeah.
So you have a growth mindset.
I love that, and I do, and I think the other thing about knowing that I don't have a fixed mindset is that I am not at all the person that I was when I was 15 or 25 or 35 or 45. Like at all.
At all.
There are elements of that personality, elements of that person in me, but I'm such a different person. And thank God. You know what I mean? Like what if I'd stopped growing, like that would just be a tragedy, an absolute tragedy. Like I really hope I'm not going to be the same person in 10 years either.
Same.
You know what I mean? Like,
I absolutely love evolving. And I wish I knew that life would constantly be a series of evolutions.
Yes. Rather than I was going to hit a wall and that was going to be like the end game for me. And, and I also want to say that for people who feel like I had this life in mind for myself and I have it and I'm good, like God bless, because not everybody craves dynamism and not everybody can tolerate it. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's some people like, I want to just like, I got like my 5 or 6 pieces in place and I'm cool. But I even think in those environments, you might be surprised by the ways in which your feelings about your life could be improved by like just little changes or like I'm learning a new language and it's so hard and I'm so irritated, so frustrated. I'm so irritated. But also like I can feel myself getting better at it every day and it's great. It's great. It's great to feel, as an adult, feel yourself getting good at something when you feel like all your learning days were back in your teens.
Okay, I have another thing I want to share, because again, you're triggering something else, is there's this period in between when you know how to do something or when you don't know how to do something and you know how to do it, right? So you might set your eyes on something, say, I really want to be good at this or know how to do this, but here I am. So there's this big gap in between. There's this period of time where you're learning it and it feels very uncomfortable. And a lot of people can't tolerate that zone. And so it's like they don't even want to enter that zone. So all that does is it keeps them in this one space.
Right.
So if you can learn to lean into that zone and the discomfort of it and learn to be comfortable in your discomfort, it is a huge advantage because it will take you places you never even thought you could go.
I love that. I love it. And then you start to crave it, a little bit of the uncertainty and the fun of like what's going to happen, which I always used to say when I was going through my divorce, and friends were going through bad breakups. I was like, listen, you can change it from what's going to happen to what's going to happen, which I love. And that's been something I've used. But I'm doing Duolingo. I'm not really shouting out Duolingo, but I'm just, everybody's doing
language?
Duolingo, Irish, Gaelic. And and I am such an apple polisher, and I really need to get an A+ in everything. So the big struggle for me is just like surrendering to when I don't know the answer and not like going over to Google and looking it up and then coming back to the app. I need to get an A in everything. So I've been trying to break my kind of like nerdy childhood nature and be like, it's okay to just like make these mistakes, which I was just talking about how important mistakes are, but just be living in I don't know the answer to this question. Like, it's okay. It's just an app on my phone. You know what I mean? It's not going to show up in the public record.
Yes.
But yeah, it's been really, really fun. And it's also for people out there who want to learn something new. It's a game, and I love games. I love winning games and playing games. So it's like that. If there was one thing I was like, I probably need to do less Duolingo, because I'm just like on the toilet at 3 o'clock in the morning, just trying to hanging out with Duo.
I think there are other. I mean, that's not the worst.
There's
use
worse
of time.
vices that I could have at 3 in the morning than doing Duolingo on the toilet. Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of evolution, Criminal Minds evolution. How's that for a segue?
Oh, beautifully done.
Thank you.
Artful. Very elegant. Well played.
So, all right. So, Criminal Minds Evolution is back.
Yes.
And I think it's still the beginning of the season. How many episodes do you do now?
So we do 10 a season. We were doing between 22 and 24 when we were on CBS.
Yeah.
And now we're doing 10, which is much more kind of normal for a streaming show. And I think has been really good and manageable for us because, a network television, the show was like 42 minutes, something like that, commercial breaks, et cetera. But now we kind of get to do what we get to do. And so sometimes the episodes are 50 minutes, sometimes they're over an hour. The storytelling is much richer. And I want to say languid, that's not fair, but it's just we get to tell the story we want to tell. We're not hamstrung by these other constraints. So that 10 episode run, I think, there's an old saying, I don't know who said it, feel free to write in, that in like when you're doing 22 episodes of TV, you'll do like 8 great ones and like 6 fine ones, and then like 8 really, really poor ones, right? But with 10, like you can do 10 perfect episodes of TV. You know what I mean? It's a long production schedule. It's a heavy lift, and you never want to like have a layup in there. You want everything to really hang together beautifully. So these 10 have been really just like an ideal number of episodes, because we also were doing these kind of like freak of the week. It's bad guy every week, unsub every week. And now it's much more serialized. There's more time with the characters' backstories, their personal lives. And then we always have some kind of like longer, almost like a puzzle box arc, some mystery that lives through the entire season. So it's just been a much more elegant way of telling a story. And it's so good. I mean, we're in the middle of filming season 19 right now. We just started. And it's just dreamy.
So you're filming now.
We're filming now and we're airing now.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So you do it that far in advance?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wish I could tell you that we had a way it now that we've moved to streaming, because we moved, then almost immediately it was COVID, and then there was a strike. So there's nothing really categorically set about how we're doing it right now. But the show is doing well, and it's people know it. People know it.
And I mean, it is outrageous.
Yeah.
And your fans are they are loyal.
Oh my God, talk about loyalty. Talk about like just deep knowledgeability. Like these people know everything about the show, everything about everybody. And like dedicated, engaged. There are other shows that have run this long, but this is an unusual kind of show. There's nothing like it. And the fact that it's this strange global phenomenon, and that people can go back and watch it from the beginning all the way through to now, Yes, it's a very intense fandom.
So what do you think what's the magic ingredient that has people so intense about it?
It's a question that we get asked all the time because it's a very dark show,
Uh-huh.
and I give the same answer, which is I think like fundamentally, you know, it's a show about fear. It's a show about our fears, and people are engaging with their fears when they want, and if they're human fears, they're real fears. It's not like watching a show about monsters, right? I mean, these are they're legitimate fears, but that there's this core of like dedicated, tireless people that are working around the clock to make sure that the rest of us are safe. And that's
Okay.
that there's a deep comfort in that it is, in some ways, it's comfort food, right?
Mm.
There are good guys working very hard to put the bad guys away.
Okay.
And it's intellectual. It's not, sure, we kick a lot of doors down and bust a lot of bad guys, but it's not like a typical cop show. It's a show about people using their minds, using their brains to solve problems. And to me, I think that feels less ephemeral than just like the bad guy, boo, 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 poo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, these are people that like every minute of every day is dedicated to like tracking these guys down and stopping them before they do more bad stuff.
Right.
So it feels soothing, I think, to people, the number of people that have come up to us and been like, I'm going to become a criminologist because of you. I'm going to go into, forensic work because of you. I want to become a lawyer because of the show. That's like an unusual way of relating to the people that watch your show. Like, this changed the course of my life. And it's very much because we're all thinking really hard. It's a show about people who think really hard. That is the show. The show is not coppers and bad guys. 50 minutes out of the hour, we're sitting in a room talking about bad guys and why they do the things they do and how to stop them. Yeah, it's a puzzle. And people can engage in that way, in an intellectual way.
And do you feel like when they meet you, do they feel like you're that soothing person to them? Like, is that the reaction you get?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm really trying to think about, like, what people are just excited. I think they love the show. I think when you see somebody every week on your television, you feel a connection.
Them.
Yeah, you think you know them. You feel like you have a connection to them. That's specific and intimate. I try to be as kind as I can, because I'm caring for a relationship that I didn't build. You know what I mean? Like, they've set up a set of expectations that I had nothing to do with, and I want to make sure I can't service them fully, but I don't want, like, I know the number of times I met someone I admired and they disappointed me. It was heartbreaking. You know what I mean? I very much am like a don't meet your idols kind of person, because there have been a couple times where I really got oh yeah. I mean, not very many. I'll tell you a good one.
Okay, good.
I'll tell you a good one, which is I met I'd broken my arm one year snowboarding in Park City, and name drop, and I was going to the Golden Globes, and I was very dressed up, but then I had a sling on my arm, which is not the greatest. And Clint Eastwood was there, and I didn't even say I'm a big knot. I almost never go up to people, you know what I mean? Because how can this interaction ever be as exciting as the one that you've made up in your head, right?
Okay.
But I was just standing there talking to someone next to him, and he goes, "Oh, what happened to your bum wing?" That was it. That's all I needed.
Fabulous.
That was exactly what you needed Clint Eastwood to say to you about your broken arm, right? I think I fainted. It was the greatest. I'll never forget it. And I just feel like a little bit of generosity. Like, I know what that tiny bit of generosity did for me. So I really just try to be as kind as I can, and beyond that, really haven't had any really wild fan interactions. I think people get excited, and
you don't have like stalkers and whatnot.
I think everybody on the show has had their fair share of kind of like overly intimate fans, but I think we all work really hard to, just create separation in our lives. And
yeah, that's a fine line.
It is.
I think
it is. Yeah.
Especially because here you are with these high-minded
right.
goals,
right.
like of what you want to project and what you want to do and what you want to protect also. But at the same time, it's like with this other stuff happening.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to be aware of it.
Yeah.
You have to understand that it exists, and put protections in place to keep, yourself and your loved ones kind of separated a little bit from, the public eye. I think it's as important for the people in your life as for yourself.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, just try to move through the world with a bit of awareness. You know what I mean? I think some of the weirdest interactions I've had have not been with fans, but have been with like friends of friends. Like, you go to a bar with your friends, and then a friend shows up, and that friend wants to like wear you out. Do you know what I mean? And like that, I think that's been like the most oppressive, when like a guy who's like a friend of mine is like, so like, tell me about Hollywood, and you like have a nice conversation with the guy for like 20 minutes, and then he's like, so tell me about Hollywood, and you're like, dude. Dude, the meter is up. But yeah, I've been fortunate that I haven't had any really, really negative experiences. Like this one night, I just remember I was with some friends and the bartender, and I was like, someone has to do something. And he just went over, he's like, buddy, you gotta go. And I was like, super tip for you, buddy. Super tip. Yeah.
Sometimes you just
Super
need
tip.
somebody else
Yeah,
to
but you
step
know what?
in.
I mean, you don't have to be in my line of work to have a guy to bar,
Right.
wear out your ear, right? That's not
That
a
is
unique
the
experience for any woman, and I'm sure plenty of men, on the planet. Like sometimes the guy just needs to go.
That's absolutely
Sometimes
true.
that guy just needs to go. Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap up
Yes.
with, I think you gave me so many great nuggets that people can take with them.
I love therapy. I just came to therapy to therapize. That's not a word either, guys. That's synesthetize and therapize are the two words that I made up today.
Somebody has used that on this show
Therapize?
before. Yes, I believe it was Kim Coles actually.
Oh,
and she was
amazing.
giving, because you're going to do this too at the end if you don't mind. Like I always ask, can you say something for the camera, like almost like a testimonial, like, hi, I'm Aisha Tyler.
Yeah.
I just talked to Kara and blah, blah, blah. And I think that's what Kim Coles said. I feel like she therapized me.
Yes, we therapize together. The mind is the most interesting thing, right? Like,
yes.
it's the most exciting and interesting thing.
So let's embrace it instead of be afraid of it and run from it.
Yeah. Like it's carrying around all your dreams and hopes and aspirations, man. Like you gotta love it.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so Criminal Minds, everybody can watch it on.
Oh, it's on Paramount Plus. Actually, every episode of Criminal Minds and Criminal Minds Evolution is on Paramount Plus. You can stream it from season 1 if you have absolutely no personal or professional obligations in your life. You just want to watch TVs, wall-to-wall television for many weeks. You can watch it from the beginning. And then we are season 18 of CME, which is season 18 of Criminal Minds, which is season 3 of Criminal Minds Evolution, is airing now. And we are working on season 19. And it's great. And I directed the second episode of season 18. I'm really proud of it. I did episode 6 of season 17, which I think is like a really high water mark of my episodes for the show. I love directing the show. It's rad.
I imagine that everybody with you directing would really appreciate you directing too. I mean, I'm sure there are other good directors too, but I can't imagine that your approach wouldn't be so good and positive for everybody.
I have this. This is true. It's not apocrypha. I have this story. I was on CSI, on the original CSI Vegas, and Quentin Tarantino was a big fan of the show. So he came and he directed the season finale. And I didn't even have that many scenes, which was really disappointing that it wasn't like all the Aisha Tyler show. When Quentin was there, I think I had like 2 scenes. But I watched him direct, and he loves directing so much. And if there was one director, and I've had a lot of really great mentors that like influenced the way that I direct, it's probably Quentin, because Quentin is just stoked. He's like, yeah, that was awesome. It was so great. So like, I always feel like I'm trying to channel Quentin, maybe not the florid language, but I really love it. Like I'm just super happy to be there, and I feel like we could all be, I don't know, kicking rocks somewhere, and here we are making a movie. Like it's the best. It's the best.
Yes, perspective.
Yes,
and you are in good shape.
Oh my God, that's the best. Clean bill of health, or I'll take an A. I don't need an A+.
I'm not going to give you an A+ because then you're going to feel like you need to maintain that A+.
Yeah, you're right.
But the fact that you're growing and constantly learning and questioning and thinking about things is really what gives you the highest marks.
Yay.
The highest score.
Oh my God. I'm thrilled.
So good for you.
Yay.
It's cheers to you.
Thank you. I'm thrilled. Oh, now out into these streets to do some dirt.
This was great. Loved it.
Fun.
Good stuff.
Oh my God, I really loved it. It was a blast.